Paul Atreides and his mother Jessica ally with the Fremen to seek revenge against the Harkonnen and the main conspirator, the Emperor. Meanwhile, the prophecy about Paul being Araki's Messiah slowly but steadily grows on him. Hello everyone, Luke Ripa here and welcome to the Dune Part 2 review, the second chapter in Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Frank Herbert's novel. This movie was supposed to be released last November, but officially it was moved to March due to the strikes. However, given the names on the poster and the hype surrounding the movie didn't need the actors' interviews and whatnot to sell it, I think it was moved to not hinder both Barbie's and this film's chances at the Oscars. Why? Well, Oppenheimer was and still is very likely to dominate, and Barbie would have become second in Warner's blockbuster hierarchy. By the way, Warner ditched the blue logo and went back to the blue and golden one. I love it, but seriously, Barbie would have really suffered the presence of Dune Part 2 at the Oscars. Regardless of whether or not you like the adaptation, I never read the books, so I don't know much aside from the fact that the political part has been somewhat diluted. Dune Part 2 is one of the most majestic films I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years. Denis Villeneuve doubled down on his vision with a higher budget, 190 million versus 165 million of the first one, and bigger cast. While Oscar Isaac and Jason Momoa left, we see the additions of Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, Lea Seydoux, and Christopher Walken. And of course, bigger set pieces. Don't be fooled though. Despite the action when it happens is larger in scale and even the hand-to-hand combat is more impactful than the previous one, it's still very much Denis Villeneuve's action, meaning steady but not fast-paced, exalted by the visual virtuosity and the perfect sound choices that might be unexpected sometimes but make it for every so great experience. In short, expect the action of the first one, just with more budget. Needless to say, the discourse around the narration isn't any different. After all, it's called Part 2 and that's exactly what this is, a continuation of the previous one which basically had an altered ending, leaving a lot of people confused. It's very effective and functional even this time around, but it also still is very cold, with an ever so reigning apathy that keeps the narration distant to what's happening, in a Bene Gesserit kind of way, if you know what I mean. The storytelling also takes its time. There is a lot to go over and doesn't go too fast over anything. It isn't super slow, but it is more of a marathon than a sprint, albeit at a steady pace. Dune Part 2 opens by presenting the Emperor, played by Christopher Walken, and his daughter Princess Irulan, played by Florence Pugh. Basically serves to visit the Emperor's motivation behind what happened in the first film and reiterate the role of the Bene Gesserit. Yes, Irulan is one of them. After that, the movie picks up Paul and Jessica's story roughly a few moments after the ending of Part 1. The pace also continues the one that was set before. However, here we have more time jumps and there's no title cut whatsoever anytime they happen. Bear in mind we talk about days and sometimes weeks, but they add up and if you don't pay attention it could be confusing. Actually, there's an indicator, Jessica's belly. Dune Part 2 also expands the lore further. As noted before, we meet the Emperor, his intention and his relationship with the Bene Gesserit. We further visit the Fremen culture, especially regarding the faith around the Lysa Argaib prophecy and the influence the Bene Gesserit had on the matter. Also, we finally visit the Harkonnen's home, where we meet Austin Butler's Fade Vauta for the first time, and also the Bene Gesserit's influence on the Harkonnen's royal family. You might think I'm playing around with the narration description, and after watching the film you'll probably be convinced so. While the Bene Gesserit's screen time is quite limited, even counting Jessica's, it's very clear that their constant presence is key to Villeneuve's portrayal of the conflict, and makes them the most interesting entity in his Dune universe. And I think I have to stop here describing the story as we enter spoiler territory. I will finish this part with one consideration. The way Part 1 ended makes more sense after watching this one's ending, and yes, this is not the last chapter, but that was widely known already. Dune Part 2 isn't just Villeneuve's takes on the novel though. Undeniably, that's the main attraction and the main reason most of us are interested in it, but it's as undeniable to say that his vision couldn't be accomplished without everyone who worked with him. Yes, I know it's a trivial and corny way to talk about everything else, but what the hell, I needed a segue. Let's start with the obvious. The cast is superb, and it should come to no surprise given the talent pool at Denis' disposal. The returning cast does a pretty solid job at continuing what was started in 2021, with Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson both offering a convincingly evolving performances as their character get more complicated as the narrative evolves. Javier Bardem offers what is the funniest performance in the film, meaning it's not terribly funny, but still, as Stilgar. He successfully portrays a leader who has both firm and ridiculous beliefs. Among the new entries, the most impressive is Austin Butler. Fade Rauta is as far from Elvis as possible, and he clearly had fun playing this ruthless, psychotic nobleman. The father-daughter duo played by Christopher Walken and Florence Pugh is very convincing, but their presence is very limited with probable expansion in the sequel, similarly to what Zendaya was in the first film. As Zendaya here has indeed way more space, she basically is the core protagonist, and her portrayal of Chani is without a doubt the best individual performance in the entire movie. While Chani's character isn't that complex, she gives it a very human and relatable aura, making you feel for her throughout the entire movie, challenging the coldness of Villeneuve's storytelling. As far for the rest of the cast, I might not mention them because I think they didn't stand out or they had very limited screen time. Léa Seydoux is in 3 scenes and Anya Taylor-Joy is just a cameo, but that doesn't mean they weren't good. The old cast is good, but if I had to talk about everyone, this review would be too long. Hans Zimmer is back for the soundtrack, and while it might not be his most recognizable work, it is super effective and it marries perfectly with Villeneuve's world. Greg Fraser's cinematography keeps up with the look set up in the previous film. While it's undeniably strong and beautiful, it still is cold and somewhat apathetic, much like the movie's narration. Is there any flaw in Dune Part 2? Aside from the adaptation, which as I said I can judge, the apathetic storytelling alongside the slower than usual storytelling might be challenging to some audiences. Yes, Dune Part 2 might be sold as a tentpole, but still is very much Denis Villeneuve's personal take on the novel, making it a very authorial blockbuster. Overall, I score Dune Part 2 with a 9 out of 10. It's one of the greatest sci-fi films of the last 5 to 6 years, which perfectly continues but also improves on 2021's Part 1 and makes you excited for the sequel. To that note, Part 3, rumored to be called Dune Messiah, is being written right now according to Denis Villeneuve himself, and the script is almost complete. However, given he had no breaks between the two parts, thanks also to COVID, he wants to make another project before going back to Arrakis. Also, Warner wants to wait for the box office result of this one, much like with the first one, before greenlighting the second sequel. In other words, a third chapter is coming, but it might be a longer wait than this time around. That's it for this review. Did you watch Dune Part 2? What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comments. If you like this review, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and/or follow us to catch every review we make, as well as all the other content you can find on our pages. Just so you know, you can find Weekos on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and Twitch. My name is Luke Ripa, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.